Okay, take a deep breath. This month has been something. Hi, welcome in. If you're new, my name is Rebecca. I'm a 31-year-old mum in WA, Australia. I have medical needs and I'm also raising my highly complex medical needs child. On this channel, I do budgeting, finances on a low income, meaning Centrelink in my case. I also talk through my motherhood journey, the ups and downs, ins and outs, but I also want my channel to be a safe space for other parents and carers to come to and sort of express what they're going through and just to feel seen. That's really all it is. So if you like that and you want to stick around, then feel free to hit subscribe, like and follow, and let's get into today's video. As you can see from the title, we're going to be jumping right back into the monthly, financial budget. If you don't know, every month I sit down and I go through my tracking for the month that we have just had, and I try and budget out. I say try loosely, kind of give a loose idea of what I want that month to be. Does not usually pan out that way, but you know, the intention is there. But yeah, I go through the future of, you know, the following month. Grab a cuppa. I have a chai right here in my mum mug that I got for Mother's Day, and let's dive in. Okay, here we are in June. For those that don't know, I like to try and do a $0 base budget, and yeah, my goal that I'd set for this month was to build up my emergency funds to $700. So I was going to reach that. I was actually going to reach over that, like almost 1,000, which was awesome. And then my daughter got sick twice, so, and you know, she needs medical stuff and things like that. That took my entire savings. Literally, like my bills account savings, my emergency funds, her funds that I'd set aside, yeah, everything. So I'm going from scratch, literally. So I currently have like, I think 100, maybe 200 in emergency funds, and then I did just sell one of my gaming consoles for about 500. So when that comes in, which will be in July, then I can put that back in and I can start building that back up. So again, my intention was good and it was, you know, planned out to happen, but you know, life happens, especially when you have a high complex medical needs child, and you know, she's obviously important. Her health is important. So, you know, money can be built back up. I can do that. I'm also making a fair bit of change. So originally my insurance, I was going to be paying about $209, I think it was, every 3 months. I've decided to switch that, but I also switched the plan. So I was originally on single family, which was just myself and my daughter, because my partner was like, I don't need insurance, blah blah blah. But then I really looked into it and I was like, well, you know, my daughter doesn't need dental and things like that through insurance. She's with NDIS, and through our children's hospital that cover all of that anyway. So I was like, well, let's swap it to couples and see how it goes. So we're not with Bupa anymore. We're now with La Trobe, I believe they're called. And yeah, I pay $64.50 a month for the two of us. So that's really, really good. Another thing that I changed was my phone bill. So my phone bill originally was $28 a month. I was with Boost and I was getting 15 gigs. But thanks to Ella, if you do not follow Ella, who is Smiley Citrus here on YouTube, she is awesome. She's also a mum in Australia, and she also does budgeting and finances. She's very much my inspiration for doing things like this. But she posted on her Instagram a few days ago about a company. I think she was working for them, or she just found the website and the deals. I'm not too sure, but they had like a 50% off or 90% off deal with their with their, what do they call them? With their plans and stuff like that. Now, in my case, I have a bought out phone, so my phone is already bought out, and I just do SIM only plans. But their deal was, the one that I went with, I was originally going to go with the $10 one that they had, which was like, I think it was 20 gigs a month. It was like, that's pretty good. And I mean, I looked at my usage and I'm barely getting over 10 gigs a month that I'm using. That's with it on all the time as well. So I was like, I don't really need that much. And, as it was, I did some calculation, and $28 a month in a year, that's like $330. I was like, okay, how can I best save money? Girl, did I save some money? I had to spend some money to save a lot more in the long run, but it's worth it. So the plan that I went with was, which I literally purchased it the day before it ended, which was the 25th of June. It had apparently been going since like March, I think. So it was on for quite a while, so I got in just in time. Future me just jumping in, I've just checked the Leica website and they actually still have the deals on. It finishes on the 8th of July, so be sure to check it out if you can. A huge win for your finances. I'm not sponsored, I'm just your financial girly letting you all know. So check it out if you can. Now back to the video. I paid $150 for the entire year and I get 30 gigs a month. So that's a freaking steal, that one. And again, I originally was going to go for the $10 one, and then I did some more calculations for that too. I was like, well, like, I'm not really going to get that much savings, whereas this one, not only am I saving, if I kept with where I was, I'm not only saving like $200, I'm also gaining an extra 15 gigabytes, and it rolls over, I believe, too. So, like I sort of said to my partner as well, the best thing is that I've kind of gotten this deal towards the end of that deal period, so that, depending on how they do it, but this time next year or earlier, they might bring out the deals again and I might be able to, purchase it again, or something similar. So that was a big freaking win, and I'm very thankful that I've had the money at the time to be able to do that. And then water, we had to pay a water bill, so that was that. We also had to pay not YouTube. We also had to pay a gas bill, $125. Now, we are going to be moving again. It's not to our own property, at least at this point in time when recording. We're going to be moving into my partner's mum's, just to kind of build up our savings a bit, because it has been a bit rough living here financially, and that's not on the family that we live with. It's just, it just is what it is. So I think we need to kind of live there and kind of build up our savings while we can, and then try again. We have applied for at least maybe 10 houses, so we could still get something between now and when we move. It just depends. So yeah, and then I have decided to completely scrap all of my subscriptions, so Audible, YouTube, all of them. So the only things that I'm paying for are my insurances, my car stuff, like car rego and all that kind of stuff, and that's it. I mean, I did end up obviously paying, but from next month there's literally nothing, so that's great. Yeah, so that was that. My total income, that didn't change, that's all the same. Next month will be different because obviously, for those that aren't Centrelink know, but if you're on family tax benefit and or carers, you often get a yearly lump sum. Especially with carers, you just get a standard yearly lump sum depending on how many kids you have that have medical needs and what the ages are and stuff like that, and if you're in a relationship and all that. So my partner gets that, and then I also get family tax benefit A and B yearly supplements depending on the income, and I always overestimate. I'd rather overestimate than underestimate, because overestimate you won't get a debt, underestimate you'll obviously get a debt because they overpaid you. Groceries, we still keep going over, and I think it's just because we live in a big house with a lot of people, so it's just, and I'm hoping that will change when we do move into my mother-in-law's. Rent stayed the same. $20 in fuel because, the weather, we've had to, ask my mother-in-law to help us take our daughter to and from school. $15 on transport, I believe that was to put on my smart router. $29 in takeaway, that was once, so that's not that bad. Medication, yeah, that went way over. Obviously with my regular medication, but then with my daughter, which is, it's fine. I'm thankful that I had the money there. That's why I have savings. That's literally why I have savings for moments like that. So, I can always build that back up. And then home items, I spent $10. I bought the scissor knife block from Kmart. $10, that's fine. Okay, unfortunately with therapy, this is the unfortunate part. So, if you don't know, in Australia, under Medicare, if you go to your GP, you get what they call a mental health care plan that gives you 10 sessions per calendar year. I do fortnightly sessions, but unfortunately, my 10 sessions has run out. So, and I don't get any rebate from insurance because I've used it already, and I now don't get any rebate from Medicare. So the $700 that I originally had planned to save, a lot of that was from the back pay from my EMDR sessions. So just for financial reasons, I will, moving forward for the rest of the year, I'll only be able to do one session a month. As much as I would love to do more, it's just financially, I don't want to completely scrap it. As much as I would like to financially, my mental health is important to me, and, healing a lot of my trauma and all that kind of stuff, it's very, very important to me, and I will make it work for. It just, yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. And then $70, I think that's for my daughter's stuff as well. And then, yeah, I went pretty much the same and over with my daughter's stuff. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, there was some extra spending there that did not need to be had. I would say that this month, I would say it's probably a little over half, like half of it, majority of it was for my daughter and her medical stuff. But I think the rest of it was just me just willy-nilly spending. Like I am very spiritual, so I love tarot crystals, astrology, all that kind of stuff, and I'm really into that. So, and also I had not bought a tarot deck in, oh my god, like a year and a half, maybe 2 years at this point. So I was like, you know what? I mean, albeit it was like midnight when I purchased them, but yeah, it was fine. I mean, again, money will slowly trickle in. I think that this coming month I had to be very, 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 very strategic on where I put my money and how much I spend. So, speaking of that, let's move on to July. That was pretty much an overall I spent anyway. Alright, here we are with July. Income. Obviously, I will get some money. I don't know how much, so I'm going to leave that blank. I'm going to just go off of this like it's a normal month, and I think whatever I get for family tax and all that, I'm just going to split that into, saving. It's all going to go into savings, no matter what. All of it's going to go into savings. But, I mean, my Centrelink does go up ever so slightly. The first payment of July, and then, back to normal, as far as I know, back to normal the following. So, and I believe it's after your first payment of July that they, for family tax, that they balance your payments and then you'll get the money. So I'll get it in between payments. Yeah, so like I said, no subscriptions, and that's not to say I won't ever have them for the rest of the year, but just for the time being. So term life and our insurance, and then because we're going to be living with my mother-in-law, we're doing $200 for groceries, and then rent is $600, but the $600 with that also includes food and bills with her, but I'm putting an extra $200 aside just to be sure, because you just never freaking know. The good thing is though, is that I think the reason why the grocery bills has been so high is because we mostly shop at Coles here. Like, we are not usually a Coles shopping family. Like, we are Aldi and Spudged. That's just cheaper, and it kind of shows, honestly. But now, my mother-in-law also does Aldi and Spudged, so we'll be going back to that, which is nice. A nice change for our paychecks. Fuel, I'm putting in 50 because obviously the weather, I don't know how often we're going to need to, and that's definitely kind of cut into my budget last month, so I definitely want to change that. I'm also putting 130 into my medication, 200 into home funds. I might change that. $76 into clothes, because why not? I did do a little op shop last month. I was like, why not just have a buffer in there for those little spontaneous trips with a good friend of mine. And then for my daughter, I'm putting in $300 because last month she needed it, girl. She really did. And then I think in savings, yeah. So emergency funds, I'm going to be putting about 200. And then Christmas, I'll put in 300, and then bills, I'll put in 300 as well. That's not including any, family tax sort of payment that I'll get. That's just my paycheck. And, a lot of that is, because of not having EMDR. Did I put EMDR in here? No, I didn't. Okay. I don't know whether to change that or just leave it and I just have to cancel the one that I have this month. Again, my mental health is important. Okay. I might change it. $247.22. There we go. Back to a $0 base budget. Love it. Okay, lastly, what is my goal for the month? Savings, savings, savings. Everything that I can put into savings, put into savings. Now, there will be some spending here and there. I'm not gonna be completely rigid because that's just not realistic. I mean, we're human. It's just what we do, most of us anyway. So I'm not gonna be too hard on myself with that. But the majority of the money, I wanna really see that balance, or not balance, but I want to see less impulse spending basically. Because if we go back to June, look at how much impulse spend I had. That's insane. It's probably the most the scale has tipped since budgeting and since being really intentional. Well, I guess not this month, but being as intentional as I can. I need this to swap. I really do. Next month, I want the savings to be this side. Genuinely. Bills can stay the same because that's fine, or be even less, I guess. But yeah, savings, I want that over here. Alright, that's going to be it for my July budget. Thank you so much for budgeting with me. Hope you all have a wonderful day and night wherever you are. And I'll see you in my next video.